I have a question for you, which is something that I have been, I guess, exploring in my own remembrance journey, as well as in my group circle, as well as in one-on-ones. And I wonder if it's a question you've been wondering as well, and whether it's more prevalent for certain personality types or certain archetypes or certain star seeds. And the question is simply around, why do we feel the need to define things? And I have been wondering this question because the deeper I go into exploring consciousness and soul memories, it not only expands my own mind and my own consciousness, but I very much have that mind that is always, being the Virgo, always very analytical and the tendency to be overthinking. So I'm always trying to, drop out of the mind and drop into the heart space. But a shift that has happened recently is I've been moving into the higher mind, and that's something that I will continue to explore. But what I guess has kind of shifted as a result of that, and maybe it's to do with some of the astrological placements, whether I've already forgotten now. The planetary movement that left Taurus. So we've ended that 7 year cycle and we're now moving into another new cycle. And it just feels like this year, like how many different cycles, like cosmic cycles, planetary cycles have there been that have gone for so long, and they're finally coming to an end and something new is starting. So it just really feels like, again, that this year there's just so much continually in motion and moving us through. And we can, I guess, resist it and, put up that fight and in a struggle and find that can be what keeps us stuck, or we can embrace it and allow it to help lift us wherever it is that we need to go. And I guess ultimately where that is, with this paradigm shift, and whether we are, moving to an actual new Earth, 5D Earth, or whether it is simply a state of mind. I have no idea, but I do very much believe that where we are going is something that is going to be so new that we can't even begin to understand it. And that is so amazing, because that just opens up so many possibilities that anything that we can even attempt to think of right now is still too small, too constricting, and it just is going to be so expansive and free from all the limitations that we have been stuck in. So that is exciting. But I guess what I wanted to speak to is, in order to move to that level, we have to be able to look within as well as look without, outside of ourselves. And been coming through in so many of my sessions has been, the macro and the micro so intertwined. And it's been really amazing to just, stretch those threads apart and see how they are mirroring each other and what actually needs to be done. And it just feels like the more I do this work, the less I actually have to do. And that for, again, the overachieving Virgo has been a very slow lesson to learn, the whole less is more approach. But I am embracing it more and more and loving it more and more. And one element that I want to speak to that I haven't spoken to very much because I haven't been able to define it. And as much as I say, like, especially to all my clients, like, bring in all of the weird and the wonderful things that you want to talk about. There's nothing that's too weird. This is the space to let it out. So what I want to speak to is this giant energy that has been circling, it has been around, and it has been settling and just waiting. And in that waiting, it's that, that being still and just being so ever present and just allowing things to come to you, allowing yourself to receive what you need to receive. And there's many different layers that the giant has come through in my world and in my work. And I am actually now trying to remember which one came first, but I will just start with um, a plant medicine journey a couple of years ago, where this was the one where I guess was a big, huge part of my dragon awakening. But and it was so amazing with the way that we were all spaced out. And it was just how it happened. But it was almost like we were all crammed on one side and it was all spread out on the other side. And it was really almost like it was this fractal. And um, the person that was next to me was the one right next to the facilitator and all of her sound instruments. And I saw that she had been a giant, and I saw that I had been a dragon, and I saw that the dragons are waking up, and that some are not ready to wake up, and very strong message of wake me up when it's time. And that's why I'm so um I guess so mindful of, I'm not here to wake people up, because I held deep honor and respect for that slumber, for that rest, for that sleep that has been needed after um, who knows how many eons of time, whatever your soul has done, that it's still resting from that and it's getting ready for whatever is next. So that's why, yeah, I definitely don't throw any shade at anyone that is deemed to be asleep, because they're resting for reasons. So let that be. But there's always the gentle nudges. So when you are ready, there's these things that are just gonna be around and they're gonna be waiting for you when you're ready. And then you're gonna be so divinely guided and supported on your awakening and remembrance journey, which is part of why I created my Sovereign Spiral Guide, which is a free guide you can access. I'll drop the link in the description. And I've got some great resources in there, as well as energetic hygiene and morning and evening sovereignty practice. But aside from that, I wanted to speak to the dragon, where it's like the dragons are looking this way. And that's like really how I see it. The dragons are looking this way, and the giants are just on this side. Just, it feels like they're probably just outside of the periphery. And and like I said, there's so many different layers to what has come through, and which is why I haven't been able to speak to it. Well, why I'm still struggling to speak to it with any clarity, and I guess why I've been holding myself back, because I feel like I need to really understand what I'm speaking about before I share it with you. But today just really feels like, you know, we can limit ourselves if we keep waiting for that. It's similar to needing to have every I dotted and every T crossed before you present something. So just knowing that nothing's ever going to be perfect. And I guess with my human design, I know that the more that I'm sharing from my experience, that is how my design is meant to be. So with the giant, it just felt like that they awaken before the dragons. And I think part of that, what I've come to understand, is it's because of their stillness and their presence that they're really going to help stabilize the field. And that just pretty much shifts everything. It just really ripples out, reverberates, and it just feels like it then creates this soft landing place for all the others that are going to come. So if you have ever wondered or felt like you are too much for this world, your voice is too loud, or you're too this or too that, then maybe you have this giant energy within you. And a lot of what I've seen in the few clients that I have seen it in is there's this deep shame that these giants carry. And there could be, karmic reasons for that, or it could be some inner child healing. I've had that come through, or it could be some really soul level lesson that needed to be learned. But they just carry this deep shame, and it takes a long time for the body and the mind to, just feel safe enough to let that go. And so that's why so much of my work is about just holding that space and helping hold that stable ground so that the person that I'm working with can just drop in, and then that part of them can just come out and be seen and be heard, and then we just usually just observe it just slowly dissipate all of that built up energy. So if that speaks to you, I just want you to know that I see you and I hear you, and just continue to trust yourself and find um, your own comfort level, and know when you're doing a stretch and like what that stretch feels like, and if it feels comfortable, if it's just out there enough to be that stretch that it's going to be something good, um or if you're stretching too far and you're the systems are starting to get alerted and go haywire or something, and just continue to find that own balance within yourself, find that own inner harmony, because the more you do, like, connect to your center, connect to your heart, the more that is what will help you find that stable ground, find that stable. What's really coming through is like it's about stabilizing your energy field, and the more you stay grounded, usually with nature would be best, with the trees, and the rocks as well. There was another client who she had been this giant that helped move the rocks, and I don't know if they were like rock people or rocks with consciousness inside them, and was helping, create beautiful landscapes. And she was helping transport these rocks, and she would have these beautiful conversations with these rocks as they moved around the world. And she was so sad when it was time for her to leave, and because she had finished her job, and she really I would just say, like, it was like a toddler temper tantrum that she kind of put, and that did leave a mark on the earth, on the land. But it was just so beautiful to see that companionship that had cultivated through doing that. And I think that's why so many of us are feeling this call to co-create with one another, that is part of the paradigm shift as well. So the more that we are able to move, do our own inner work, move through our own issues, and restore our confidence in ourselves, our trust in ourselves, let go of that self-doubt, and that then allows us to then start to collaborate with others, where we then have to start to do that on another level. But you should be in alignment with somebody else that matches your frequency, that there's no judgment, there's no shame, there's no, like, you're able to come into flow, and anything that rises up within yourself is just something, again, that's just coming up to be looked at and met, and it's just helping guide you in your own soul's evolution and your own soul's growth. And that brings me to the next thing that I feel like that the giants are a big part of, and that is about reclaiming your voice. And this has only just dropped in over the weekend. We went and visited a couple more of the Mandra giants, as well as the lost one in Subiaco. And it was actually the lost one in Subiaco that I felt so much energy with. And it was really around the throat space. And it really felt like it was about those that have lost their voice, and who, like, there can be so many different reasons for why you have lost your voice in this lifetime and in others. And to just hold space for that, to sit with it and to actually, I think we'll go through a bit of a guided process now. So, um, just taking a moment to just close down your eyes and just letting anything that I've said before just wash over you, keeping what resonates, letting go of anything else that doesn't, knowing that you are stepping into this sacred space, that you are a sovereign being, and that what comes through is only going to be what comes through for you, that there is no transference in this digital space that we are in. And just taking a deep breath in and a slow breath out. And just getting a feel for what energy you can feel stirring. And is it in your heart space or is it in your throat space? Just trying to track it, trying to pinpoint where it is exactly. And so for some, that may feel like you're actually extracting something or retrieving something. And for others, maybe you're just sitting with something, maybe you've been really exploring this and you're just, unraveling that last thread. So, wherever it is that you are at on this voice reclamation journey, just allow it to be what it is and allow it to move through your body. So, we're now going to have this moment where it's going to move through you on a cellular level and just really start to feel that hum, that vibration in your cells. And you may even want to start humming. And you may want to let out a tone, or maybe it's just a deep sigh. Whatever breath or sound wants to move through you, just allow it to move through you, knowing that it is more of an energy than anything else, and just allowing that energy to be pushed through those airways. And maybe they're old and creaky, maybe they're covered in dust and cobwebs and haven't been used for a very long time. Maybe there's some tears or cracks in them that need some repair work. So just allowing some light to come through to assist with that. Maybe there's something that's been lodged inside that you need to pull out. Just allow yourself to keep tracking the energy as it moves higher and just being aware of the physical sensations you feel, as well as any of your own psychic gifts coming through, whether it's visuals or um, sounds, smells, or maybe it's just that inner knowing. And with that breath, that air, and that vibration, there's this slight quivering. There's this bit of fear and trepidation, and maybe you're feeling your heart start to race. And we're going to move through some personal fears, but also on a much grander scale, it's going to be moving through these, I guess, this fear of losing sense of self and the I guess the existential crises that come through on this journey, wondering if you've lost the plot, lost your mind, but also with I can't remember if it's Neptune, but with this disillusionment that is coming through, understanding that it's not just about, the things that you already see in this world that you are waiting for others to see the truth about. Um, it's maybe even the things that you believe to be true in this world, and some of those things are going to, um, but something may happen that will bring through this disillusionment of something that was part of your own, core foundation. So it feels like it's not just specific to certain systems and structures in this world that we do need to see the cracks appear and start to crumble, but it's also going to be, it seems like no matter what, it's going to be affecting everyone on some level. And so it may be something that you thought was going to be true. And the reason that's connected to the voice is because it's connected to that gasp, that holding your breath. And so we're just going to allow that breath to return, that freeze to dissipate, that bracing in the face of any threat or danger, whether that is in front of you or just a perception of. So just allow that to dissipate. Maybe even just taking a deep sigh. And allowing yourself this opportunity to tune in with your own inner giant and asking for that stillness and that presence. And then I'm just finding myself connecting back in with that lost giant in Subiaco, Billy Bob, who was only apparently designed to be with us for 1 to 2 years. But I think it was November, he celebrated his third birthday. And it just feels like, sorry, I can feel it, but I'm just struggling to find the words. And maybe it's that, those times where you do feel like you're at a loss for words. So just sitting with that, that moment where it can be uncomfortable, where you can feel judgment, and that could come from those that you were speaking to, or it could be your own inner judgment. And just holding space for yourself as you wait for the words to come. Again, maybe you're feeling the energy move through your chest. And does it feel different to how it was moving through before? And maybe it's even more than just those moments where you are at a loss for words, and maybe it's more to do with lost languages. How many languages have we lost on this earth? What languages are part of your own ancestry? What wisdom would have been passed down through that? And has it been held anywhere else? Is it in the land? Is it in your blood? Is it in your DNA? Is it just waiting for you to activate it? Because that's the other thread that has been coming through. It was really strongly today that as we come out of these survival grids and these survival systems, knowing that there's some things that were preserved to protect them from all of the distortions that were to come. And so maybe that's your own ancestral wisdom and gifts. So just allowing you this moment to access, receive what has been waiting for you to be ready. And so it feels like we're now coming full circle, because it feels like with those lost languages that maybe they're more sounds than anything else, and the logical mind wanting to define it when it just needs to be felt to be understood. The same way we feel, music and the arts. and it can be understood in so many different ways. And then that brings us back to all the possibilities. And that brings me back to the question, why do we feel the need to define things when that, you know, locks it into something? It can limit it when it stays open. It stays open to the energies around it and it stays fluid and it can shift and change and be, again, if I try to choose some words, I feel like I'll be limiting it. So I hope that you can feel it. I hope that you are able to feel what I am trying to express, and I hope that you were able to receive something from your ancestors to really connect it back into something that had been preserved, because it really feels like there's a lot of these gifts that have just been just in the periphery but unable to land because maybe you've been so focused on the past or so focused on the future. And until come into that present moment, it's just been there, it's just been waiting. So I really hope that um first of all, I hope that you were able to follow me with my giant journey. And if you're someone that, has been struggling to find the words to speak to some of your own soul truth, then I hope that this shows you that I wasn't sure how I was going to express this, but I just knew I had to hit record and let it out. So I would love to hear if this helps you. And yeah, just want to know, like, are you someone that has struggled to define things? Are you someone that is always questioning things? And can you stay open? Can you keep, the question open-ended on this journey? So please share in the comments, and please check out my free Sovereign Spiral PDF, which you'll find in the description. And as always, please hit like and subscribe, and I'll be back with more. So I'll see you next time. Bye for now.